Story 1. The hotel guest, who wasn't a guest. I used to work the night shift at a small hotel. It wasn't busy. Only about 40 rooms, and maybe 10 or 15 filled during the week. My shift ran from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Most nights were quiet. Boring even. The lobby was small. A front desk, a few couches, vending machines in the corner. Behind me was a little office with a glass window. At midnight, the doors locked automatically, and guests had to buzz in, and I pressed a button to let them through. One night, around 11, a man buzzed and I let him in. He looked mid-40s, tall, slim, wearing jeans and a baseball cap, a backpack on his shoulder. He asked for a room. I gave him the price. He handed me a card. It beeped like it worked, and I gave him a key to room 214. But the way he stared at me was strange. Too long, too blank. Like he was memorizing me. An hour later, he was back in the lobby, not in his room, sitting on the couch, staring at the TV. The TV wasn't even on. He sat there silent for over an hour. No phone, no book, no sleep. Just staring. When I crossed the lobby to grab water, I felt his eyes follow me the whole way. That's when I checked the system and froze. Room 214 was still vacant. No charge. No check-in. The key card had never been used. He wasn't a guest, and yet there he was, watching me from different places, by the bathrooms, in the stairwell, half hidden in shadows. At 3:30, I couldn't take it anymore. I called the police. Minutes dragged by. He stood closer to the desk, just watching me. Then I saw him on camera, standing outside a guest's room door, not knocking, not moving, just standing. That's when I called 911, when the officers finally arrived. After 4, I pointed straight at him. They asked questions, checked his ID. He wasn't a guest. The card was stolen. He had no bags, no reservation. He had just been pretending so I would let him inside. He was charged with trespassing and credit card fraud. But the part that still makes me sick is knowing he had been inside the hotel for hours, watching, wandering, standing outside rooms in the middle of the night. And he was never supposed to be there. Asterisk story to Meredith and the stalker at the gas station. Asterisk. My name is Meredith. I'm 24 and I worked the night shift at a tiny gas station off County Road 11. It was the kind of place nobody noticed, unless they needed gas or were completely lost. One night, around 1 a.m., man walked in. He looked mid-40s, with a green coat, messy hair, and dry lips. He didn't buy anything at first, just stood there staring at me like he already knew me. He asked if I always worked so late. I said yes, trying to smile. He said he figured, because he'd passed through a few times and always saw me. That made my stomach drop. Then he said my name. Meredith. I wasn't wearing a name. I froze. He pointed at the whiteboard where I had written cinnamon coffee. His back and said he recognized my handwriting, the way I dotted my I's with slashes, not circles. It was unsettling. He finally left, but he kept coming back. Sometimes he bought water. Sometimes he just sat in his car with the headlights off, watching. One night, he leaned over the counter and asked if I ever got scared being a woman alone at night. His voice was calm, curious, like he was asking about the weather. That's what made it worse then. He mentioned how I always checked the back door at 2 a.m. He was tracking my habits. I felt sick. A week later, I found a Polaroid on the counter. It was me outside refilling windshield washer fluid, taking clothes up. The slash on the labels I was circled in red ink. I told him to leave, or I'd call police. He said he just noticed things, that he thought I'd appreciate someone paying attention. Call 911 and police arrested him. They searched his car and found a notebook with my schedule. Notes about my clothes, my groceries, my walks. One page just had my name scribbled over and over. I got a restraining order and transferred to another station. It's 2 hours away. But even now, when headlights follow me too long, I feel his presence. Like he's still out there, still whispering my name in his head. Asterisk, Story 3. The cars with no license plates. Asterisk. I'm a 22-year-old woman working the overnight shift at a gas station. I'd been there only 2 months when one night, my coworker Max and his friend Vince dropped by around 2:30 a.m. They were giggling high on mushrooms. They told me about a car sitting in the lot with its lights off, engine running, someone inside. The man claimed he was waiting on a DoorDash order, but I hadn't had an order in hours. Max noticed the car looked brand new with no license plate. And there were blankets piled in the back, like someone could hide under them. When Ben asked questions, the man pretended not to speak English, then quickly drove away. And strangely, another new car without plates pulled in at the same time, then followed the first one out. That was creepy enough. But the next night, the same car returned again around 3 a.m. Some customers told me 2 men were inside, arguing and pointing toward the store. When they approached the car, the men reversed and sped away. Told them the same thing had happened the night before. They looked uneasy and offered to stay with me a while in case the car came back. I thanked them deeply because I knew if I had been alone the night before, it could have ended badly. Nothing else happened that night, but I couldn't shake the thought they had picked a spot where I couldn't see them from the register. They watched, waited, planned. I may carry a knife at work, but against multiple people, it wouldn't matter. I still wonder what would have happened if my coworker and those random customers hadn't been there. Asterisk, Story 4. The hand under the desk at the motel. Asterisk. My name is Daniel. I'm 29 and I work overnight at a small rural motel. Just 2 floors and about 25 rooms. It's usually quiet. I sit in the back lounge watching my laptop until the desk bell rings. One night at 2 a.m., the bell rang. I walked up, but nobody was there. The parking lot was empty. I shrugged it off until it happened again 10 minutes later. This time I waited at the desk, thinking maybe a kid was playing tricks. After 20 minutes, the bell rang again, and I saw it. A pale hand reached from under the counter and pressed the bell right in front of me. I bolted into the back office, locked the door, and watched the security monitors. The figure crawled out from under the desk in a hoodie, then began pacing the lobby. He rattled the handle to the back office door where I was hiding. My chest felt like it was closing up. I whispered to 911. The man wandered the lobby, staring out the glass doors, flipping through brochures. Waiting. When police arrived minutes later, he bolted out. The officers found the front door propped with a rock, but the man was gone. I'll never forget the sight of that hand, calmly pressing the bell just feet away, knowing he had been hiding under the desk while I worked alone in the night.